webinar here today with eONE, where they'll be presenting Popdock. Before I hand it over, I just want to let you know that today's webinar is being recorded, so you will get a copy of this by tomorrow at the next day. Also, we'll certainly be monitoring any of those questions in the questions pane, so please feel free to put those there, and we'll make sure that we either get those addressed here while we're on the webinar with you or follow up with you later. So today, very exciting. We have one of our returning GPUC sponsors, eONE, with us here today. Not only are we thrilled that they're sponsoring GPUC again this year, we also get to learn a lot more about their Popdock product. Today, Luke will be presenting today. And so Luke, I will hand it right over to you and you can get into your presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandon. Appreciate it. And yes, thank you all for taking a little bit of time out of your day to dive in with us. So my name is Luke Steckler, a partner development manager, work with Brandon and the entire team, implementation specialist, and we're definitely excited to sponsor GPUC again this year and showcase today a little bit of probably one of the newest tools that we've rolled out for the GP space. I'm sure many of you are familiar with eONE solutions at one level or another. You've been a long time partner with implementation specialists. And again, you probably know us for tools like Smart List Builder and Extender and Smart Connect and Smart View. And this is kind of an iteration of a lot of those different pieces. So really kind of, got to think about eONE. And again, we're headquartered in Fargo, so pretty close to the implementation specialist team. But Popdock really was kind of born out of a lot of our experience and a lot of the things that we've built in the past. So I kind of use the analogy that Popdock is like Smart View, Smart List Builder, and Smart Connect all thrown into a blender, all completely in the cloud for GP or virtually any other application out there. So all the other systems that your business utilizes, there's a 99% chance that Popdock can interact with them as well. And even a little bit of extender, kind of extender for non-GP data. We'll showcase that in a moment to kind of where we're getting there. So first, kind of the 5 key areas that we've seen with a lot of our clients and our partners with Popdock are kind of outlined here. So the first off, obviously with Smart Connect, we've done a lot of integration with GP. We've got 6,000 plus Smart Connect customers all around the world, so we've become very well versed in integration. And some things you need to integrate, but there are a lot of data that we're simply moving into GP or from GP into another application like CRM, for example, just so that it's viewable, just so that it's accessible. And obviously, when you're truly integrating, there are a lot of inherent complexities and error handling and management and things that you need to look at. So the first area that we've really seen a lot of success with Popdock is the ability to embed real-time custom data inside of GP from another application like CRM, for example, and we'll showcase some of those examples in just a moment, or embedding GP data live inside of external systems. So again, whether they don't need to be GP users to be able to have access in real time to that data wherever they need it. Additionally, a single interface for reporting across data from any system. So this can be great. Maybe you're, again, in accounting, you're utilizing GP. You don't need to be an expert in advanced find and CRM. You don't need to know how reporting works inside of Zendesk or Stripe or Braintree or any other, or even SQL reporting, for example. When you're utilizing Popdock, we can really customize and show you just the data you need to do your job in real time across multiple systems, multiple applications, again, whether you're a user or not, all on a single screen. And again, that screen is, again, anything that's cloud-based, you can access it. So anywhere you can access the internet, phone, desktop, email, whatever it is, you can access Popdock reports from any application. Custom reporting, that starts to get pretty powerful too, in the fact that we can combine data from multiple systems together into a single report. So maybe you've got some old legacy on-prem data. You've got an old system there that you've had for years. You also use GP, so you've got 2 different applications there. Popdock can combine that data into a single report that's either viewable inside of GP, inside the Popdock interface. Again, could be a variety of different examples. Also, We can, another really common example is customers looking at Business Central. So maybe you're doing a migration and you have 20 years of GP data. You don't want to migrate that all to the cloud and have to store it there. You could utilize Popdock to, take the historical data that you need to access but don't want in BC, put that on a SQL server in Azure, utilize Popdock to embed that data inside of Business Central. So now you've got your active data right in the same report as your current data, but it's not being stored inside BC. You're saving all that cloud storage costs. So that's a really good, another kind of analogy or example of those pieces. Think of Popdock, and we'll touch on it in the interface in just a few moments, but kind of like a query engine on steroids. So we're not storing any data. We're really pulling it live from GP or any other application live in real time, completely customized all the filters and things that you want. But again, as that data changes, it's being updated in real time, whether it's in a Popdock report, in a widget, whatever it might be. And the last piece is really important too. It's kind of what we've come to call exception reporting. The data you don't have time to monitor, or even looking at this as kind of the wall of zeros type concept. So maybe it's overdue invoices. Maybe it's customers over their credit limit. Maybe it's leads without a lead source inside CRM, or inventory items with a quantity below 500. All those different data points, this can be one automated and monitored automatically by Popdock. Can be emailed out to you or any individuals, and again, they don't have to be users of that system to get exactly the data that they need. So maybe Brandon's got his list of customers that he needs to be notified when those individuals over their credit limit. Great, we could send him that every Monday morning at 8 a.m. If we want to do the same thing to me, perfect. We're going to get two completely different reports because again, it's going to be sorted down to show just our data, but it's what we need to do our jobs. It's coming from multiple places. So those are kind of the 5 areas that we'll touch on a lot today, but obviously we'll showcase a few things in general. All right, where can we get data from? GP is a big one. We'll focus on that. We'll show some CRM components that can be really powerful. So working with D365, you heard me mention Business Central, but virtually anywhere, any system that you're utilizing, Popdock can bring together. Anything with an API, anything that's on-premise based, again, there's a 99% chance that we can connect to it, and we'll showcase that more in just a little bit. I talked through some of these examples, but just a few additional scenarios for embedded widgets, some of that data, shipping data, credit card transactions, e-commerce orders. So again, maybe it's payroll. If you're utilizing a payroll system outside of GP, that's another really common scenario for this. So we'll showcase a few of these in a moment, but just kind of want to get you thinking about Concur, expense management. That's another popular example. So all of the applications that you use in addition to GP every day, start chewing on that a little bit, because then Popdock can really be kind of that gateway or that tool to bring those all together. We talked about some cross-application examples. We use this as well. So we actually use Braintree within our online website and our monitoring, and we also have another tool that's sold actually through Zendesk's marketplace that uses Stripe for all of those credit card transactions. So we've got 2 credit card gateways, and we're utilizing Popdock to show us all new orders, all new transactions in a single report from 2 different systems as those come in every day. So that's a really good, real world example of how we're utilizing that to bring in data from multiple places. And then some of those exception reporting examples, here are a few more. So again, even declined credit card transactions, especially over a certain number, discounts given by salespeople. Again, those might not be things that you're actively monitoring, but you need to know when or if they occur to determine if an action needs to be taken on that. So again, we'll kind of dive into this live in just a moment, but we'll want to get some of the wheels spinning, get some things going on in your head on some of the possibilities of what it might look like. This part's really important too. So anywhere, again, you can access the internet, you can access Popdock. It's also mobile and iPad based. We've got an app inside the Apple and Android marketplaces, so it can make GP data, again, live and mobile for anyone on your teams. If you have people in the field who need to access that information, this might be a really good way to bring some of that together. And we'll touch on our Excel add-in too, and again, the ability to bring in some of those components. All right, enough slides. Let's dive in and start to bring some of this to life. So I'm actually going to flip it briefly to Chris Dew, who is going to show us Popdock in action inside of GP. Chris, I will make you presenter. There we go. All right, looks good.
Someone muted me. I'm not the one that has the fire truck going by. Okay. What we're going to show you though, one of the cool things that Luke talked about, it was the capability of embedding this in any type of system. So for a lot of you, I know you live and breathe inside of GP. And so that's no exception. If we want to see data kind of like you're used to, right, with smart lists, we can see that type of data right inside of a somewhat familiar interface. But now this interface is a whole lot faster than just the standard smart lists. So we can take any of those standard smart lists, plus we can add, any that have been built with Smart List Builder, or even the Smart List Designer. If you have gone that route, we can actually even pull those things in, or if it's a view. So we have a lot of capabilities of bringing that in, and you can do really fun things by like drag and drop grouping. I can just, collapse everything if I want. If I wanted to expand out, the state of Illinois, I can do things like that. I can have an unlimited amount of filters on here. So again, unlike Smart Lists where you only get 4 filters, you can just keep mashing on this button and have as many filters and as many fields as you want. And a lot of people will save these as favorites, and so then you can go back and share those favorites with other people on your team, and do some really cool things with them. But what I want to point out is it's not just limited to GP data like Smart Lists is. Right, I have a couple of GP lists published, or that I have security access to, some inventory, sales, customer, stuff like that. But I can start looking at different things. So in this case, I have Zendesk tickets. So what it's actually doing is it's going out to an external help desk system and is pulling in all of that information into GP. So again, I have never left GP, but I'm able to see live help desk information if I want. So it could be CRM information. It could be, like Luke said, maybe some credit card processing information. Could be e-commerce. Whatever you need, you can get access to. Now, again, thinking caps are not optional today. We want you to think about some additional ways that you can use this. So I'm going to pull up just a GP window. And I actually just got off a call with the Key to Act people. They had a webinar today as well where they were learning about Popdock. And so if you had a Key to Act window or any third-party window, you can attach some additional information to it. So we'll start by looking at, these are the widgets, again, that Luke's talking about. And by clicking on this, I'm able to see all of Aaron Fitt's, I'm able to see all of the sales documents. So without ever leaving, in this case, the customer card, I can see all their quotes, orders, invoices right from one little place. And the beautiful part is I have access to all the actions, just like in a smart list. I'm able to do all of those types of things and drill back to that window. But then I want you to get thinking about some additional things that we can do. Here is a slightly different type of widget. This is called a single record widget, and I actually have 2 parameters passed into this one. So one is pulling from the customer ID in this window. The second is an address ID, and we're passing in the ship, basically whatever the primary ship to address field is, we're passing in this value into here. And now instead of displaying all of the records, I'm able to display just a couple of fields if I want. So in this case, I just displayed 6 fields from the address ID. This may not be the greatest example, but I want the wheels to start turning, because like Luke talked about before, what if this was on a sales order or sales invoice? And what if we wanted to know if the credit card had any problems, right? What if I wanted to pull in that information on the transaction and be able to see that information that again, the credit card's been declined or whatever. So just for that one invoice, or maybe it's more of a shipping type of application that I want to be able to see that order that's gone out. Has it been delivered? Has it even left the warehouse yet? Is it still in transit? So those are the kinds of things that it gives you access to see that data. And we've heard quite a few people talk about this as almost extender, but not for just GP data. It's extender for the data that sits outside of the system, and you don't necessarily have to replicate it or integrate it like with Smart Connect. We can now just display it right inside of GP. So there's a couple of things inside of GP. Now, I want you to understand really how easy it is to do what I just did. If I go into the setup, and I'll pull up just the existing one with the shipping address, I basically have a list of widgets, and Luke's going to go into this in just a little bit later, but any widget I've published with whatever lists and whatever security I have around that, I'm able to see inside of there, and then I can attach it to any window. Again, this could be a key to act window. It could be any custom dexterity window that we want. This one happens to be attached to customer maintenance. And then it has a couple parameters so that we can filter it out, because I don't want everything. I only want ones for a particular address and customer. And so then we can basically choose from all the fields on the window. And in this case, we pick the primary ship to address code and the customer number. And so it's reading those on the fly and then pulling just that data. So I just want to show you how flexible it is to set up a new one of these. If I wanted to attach it to anywhere else inside of the system, I can simply do that. All right. Well, Luke, did you want to go and show them maybe outside of GP?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'll just make you presenter. I think I have to do that.
Perfect. All right, so now we'll take this to kind of another level. So now we're looking at CRM. And this is the unified interface. So if you're not using the unified interface today, don't worry. That might be why this looks a little bit different. This can work with the standard interface. This can work with CRM on-prem. You've got options. But what we're looking at here, so we've got an account, Taco Deli, and they utilize us for all of their kind of food distributions. We're one of their suppliers to supply them all the ingredients they need to make awesome tacos every day. But what we're doing here is we're utilizing a Popdock widget. So again, this data is just being shown inside an iframe. It doesn't live inside a CRM. It's still back in GP, but we're showing them all of the orders for this particular client. So we've got some parameters on this widget to say, okay, hey, these are the orders that are tied back from this customer number inside of GP to this account ID inside of CRM. So as I go through, and if I were to change accounts inside of CRM, I'm going to see different data and different orders across this one. Yet, like SmartView, for example, this is completely customizable. So I can drag and drop and I can move things around. If I want to slide the total over there, that's not a problem. If I want to go ahead and take some columns away, I can do that. I can even add data points in real time. So everything that's accessible on the GP side, I can add into. Let's say I want to add in an address. It's as easy as that click. And now Popdock is going out there in real time and it's pulling those updates from GP and bringing them in to that widget for me. So again, truly real-time data, real-time access. I've got, again, 60 invoices here. Again, if this were a live environment, this would probably be hundreds, maybe even thousands. So if I want to filter that data down, again, just like Chris was talking about earlier, I've got tons of ways to do that. Yet the beauty is essentially what I'm doing here is I'm getting that customized report without having to call IT, without having to call my administrator, without having to access or be a user inside of GP. Yet I can get what I need on the fly. So if I want just from this week, or this month, or last quarter, or this year, again, I've got all that flexibility and I can slice and dice that as many ways as I want to. So again, similar to some SmartView components, I can group. So we've got multiple locations for this customer. So let's say, okay, I want to see revenue numbers by location. It's that easy, and I've got my subtotal there at the bottom. So I've got all of that in real time. Plus, let's say that customer calls me about a particular invoice. Instead of having to kind of scroll and sort and filter down, I've got some search functionality, so I can search through however many data points are there, find exactly the one that I'm looking for. You'll notice here, this is my invoice header inside of GP, but we can dive a level deeper. So I can connect that now to line items. So I can see each line item within that invoice, and I can confirm, okay, here is the products we had on that, the quantity in that shipment, confirm all those details back to that customer in real time, and I've never left that account. I can also take this to a completely separate system. So now we're taking GP data and cross-referencing that against USPS shipping data. So where's that at in the supply chain process? When did it leave the warehouse? Where's it at in the distribution? And when will it be out for delivery, or was it delivered to that end customer? So multiple systems we're connecting together. And again, this could go a variety of different ways. We've had people connect, invoices to Zendesk tickets, to Jira, if they have, more of a software company, some dev work. So this could really, it's just one example, but again, could really be limitless. As long as there's one field that we can join these 2 data points on, we can start to get pretty creative with that. Let's say that customer wants a copy of that report. Not a problem. All I need to do is click the quick export feature, and Popdock's going to generate this report for me inside of Excel. So I'll pull that open. There we go. And I've got all of the formatting that I already added included inside of that report. So I could send this over to them. Again, maybe that's just this quarter, this month, whatever I've sliced and diced that down to, it's all in real time. We also have a Popdock add-in inside the Office 365 Marketplace that starts to make any list from any system accessible through Excel. So all you need to do is log in utilizing your Popdock credentials. Once I do that, now I've got access to any system out there. So any system that we've connected to, any environment, any report, I can now pull into that Excel spreadsheet. So maybe again, I want to slice and dice this from a couple different GP companies. I've got that flexibility. Maybe I'm looking at, for example, we'll go ahead and grab sales transactions. Insert that. There we go. I've got all the sales transactions live from GP and a simple report for me. And again, I don't have to be a user of any of these systems. Maybe you've only given me a couple different data points to things that that should be accessible to me. It's completely customizable. We'll get into security a little bit later, but you've got the data, the reporting that you need live and in real time without ever accessing those systems. All right, so this is what we call, again, a favorite widget. This is tied back to that specific account ID based on the customer number. Yet we can take that to a more macro level as well. So we've also embedded what we just call an application widget. So this is now showing all invoices coming from our ERP. So not just for that particular customer, but we've said, hey, we want to allow our users to see everything across the board. So now they've got access to all of that data with the same functionality. Maybe I want to group this and see data by customer, revenue numbers. Again, I can see that in real time. There we go. Now I collapsed it. We've also got some visual capabilities. So let's say I want to flip this into more of a graphical representation. I can do that. I can flip it back. Again, I can export, sort, filter as many ways as I want to. So really smart lists for any app without ever leaving the system. Here's another example that we've built out of a cool graphical representation. That one got a little funky on me there. I could refresh, but we'll let it go, showing me total sales numbers by product across this customer. So as more orders are placed, I'm going to see those updates in real time across the board. All right, so let's dive into the Popdock application itself. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. So this is what the interface is going to look like when you dive in. So again, kind of think about this like smart lists for virtually any application out there. So if you notice across the top of the board, I've got CRM data, I've got GP data, I've got my Stripe data, I've got social media, Zendesk, ShipStation, along with some other systems, Business Central, finance and operations across the dynamic spectrum. So reporting from all those systems, I'm not a user of any of those applications, yet I'm seeing the data that I need across them to do my job. If we want to look at, for example, some more of that data that was being embedded inside of CRM, whoops, and it logged me out because it's secure. So if I'm not in there over 10 minutes, that's a good thing. Popdock's going to log me out so we can only see the data that we're supposed to. So here's what we were seeing inside of CRM. So it's that same look and feel, that same customization. Yet again, I can slice and dice this however I want to. So we're only seeing what we want to inside of that component. Looking at GP even further. So let's look at GP, and this is a simple one with account transactions. And again, it's pulling these updates in real time each and every time. So that's really powerful, is that as I go in, as I log, as I access, as I look throughout the day, as I refresh, I'm seeing all of the data I have or that I need to access in truly real time. And inside of GP, and we'll touch on this in a moment too, we have access to virtually everything, virtually every list. So from there, once we have those lists, we can choose the filters that we want to showcase. Maybe I just want to see this month's transactions or transactions for this quarter, and I just want to look at that every single day. Great. Maybe I only want to see transactions from a certain series instead of our general ledger. That's not a problem at all. So again, I've got all that flexibility. I can add, I can take things away, so I get exactly what I need each and every time. So how did we get here? All right, how did we get to this point where we've got some data and we can either access that from Popdock or we can embed that? So we've tried to handle a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So that being said, we've got a ton of pre-built connector, a ton of connections built out inside of this demo environment. Yet if I go to add a connection, we've done a lot of the heavy lifting and have dozens of pre-built connectors built out. So if you need GP payroll, those are two separate pieces. D365 for sales, and again, that's really everything across customer engagement, whether it's sales, service, field service, project service, automation, everything under the sun, Business Central, CRM on-premise, and then a variety of other systems. Additionally, virtually anything that's on-premise, we can tap into. Anything that's SQL-based, we have a dedicated SQL connection, so Popdock can bring that data into the fold, and virtually anything with a REST API, we can tap into as well. So no matter where your data is at, no matter what other systems and applications you're utilizing in your organization in conjunction with GP, again, there's a really high probability that Popdock can handle those as well. So we've got our connections built out. From there, we want to dive in further. So we'll dive into GP, for example. We can define our groups, and then here are access to all of the lists that we have inside of GP. So it's a very vast amount. So you can completely customize these. You can rename them. You've got complete flexibility to get exactly what you want to. And we want to add in additional lists. Here's where, again, some of that power, again, we've handled a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So any extender window, any extender field, anything you've built with Smart List Builder, again, anything with Smart List Designer we can access, or any SQL tables and views at that level. Again, I can search. I've got all that flexibility, yet anything at that database level we can tap into. So anything inside of GP, it can come together. So we've showed you again some of the common lists, the popular ones, yet here let's talk a little bit about that custom list component. So it starts to get really powerful and really exciting when we have the ability to do some higher level calculations and analysis with some of this data. So for example, doing compares, joins, or merges based on two different lists. If I want to, in this instance, compare customers from one to another, do some joins across different areas of my business or even different systems. Maybe I want to compare customers in CRM versus customers inside of GP. That could be a very popular one. Or again, accounts in one versus ones that aren't in the other. Sales from month to month. All of that functionality we can tap into, and again, this can start to be really powerful within a system or looking at multiple data points together. So exactly, for example, that legacy on-prem system merged together with your current GP data, or Business Central example, historical GP data combined together with current BC data. Popdock can really make that easy, make that handle, and help modernize and scale a lot of these different pieces. Your company's security, we'll touch on that in a little bit later, but any company inside of GP, again, it's not a problem for us to tap into. Additionally, we've tried to make it easy for the implementation specialist team. You guys have an awesome partner. They know eONE solutions front to back. So the thing is, as they build out some of these things or maybe help out with, they have the ability to import and export anything that they've built out from one customer to another. So that can really make their jobs easy. You know, if we've done some pretty creative stuff in the past, that can really help bringing, you know, some cool ideas to fruition very quickly, because we don't have to recreate the wheel each and every time. If that's something we've already done for a customer that we want to help you come on board with, we can do the same thing from some of our environments. That again helps us really scale, not have to recreate the wheel every time, but to share powerful solutions across customers, across industries, so on and so forth. All right, so we kind of showed you how we built some of those lists. We showed you some of the formatting. So again, you can do that in a matter of minutes. You know, once you built out your connection, kind of refine the data you want to, might take you half an hour or something like that. Once you've got those pieces built out, now to embed that inside of another system, I have my list there, and Popdock again does all of the heavy lifting. So I can come in here and I can define what do I want to allow my users to do. Do I want to allow them to export that data into Excel? Do I want to allow them to group or refresh, or be able to sort in columns and take things away? You can make this as accessible or as restrictive as you want to. It's completely up to you. Parameters. So this is the definition that's saying, okay, as I changed accounts inside of CRM, we're going to get new data from my ERP showing me invoices tied to that. So we're taking customer number, mapping that from one to the other. So again, a very powerful feature that could be mapped on a variety of things. You know, for example, when we looked at the invoices and then the shipping data, we're using the parameter of a tracking number there. So we attach that tracking number at the ERP level, and then are connecting that back to the shipping data, and that could have been USPS, FedEx, UPS, whatever it might be, and then we're showing from their API, their data, the status of where that shipment's at. And then to embed that piece. So again, we've done the heavy lifting. Anywhere that can support an iframe, all you need to do is copy and paste this language there. There are a couple additional steps to do this inside of GP, but again, we've handled a lot of the heavy lifting for you to try and make that easy. So again, you could be up and running with some of the things that we showed in a matter of an hour or two. So again, there's not a ton of heavy lifting. There's not a ton of implementation to get some of these things up and running. It can be up in a very quick process. All right, so we talked about widgets. Another piece that starts to get really powerful and really exciting is the fact that Popdock can generate its own API endpoint for any list that we've produced. So we've got, again, multiple connections, multiple systems there. So rather than us having to call each of those different platforms separately, Popdock has its own API, and it can produce an API endpoint for any list and report that we've built out to. So this can now be consumed by PowerBI, by Tableau, if you're utilizing this for some of those higher level BI metrics. Additionally, we've enabled Popdock as a connector inside of Smart Connect. So that can now be a source for any destination. So that starts to become incredibly powerful, kind of taking this, 2, 3, 4, 10, 100 fold down the line, and then now we have a connector to virtually anything inside of Smart Connect, and we can pinpoint exactly the data that we need, that we want to, for any of those integrations. So this is incredibly powerful, and again, it takes me literally 2 seconds to go and add a new GP endpoint. So I want to add that in. Again, I pick my company. I pick that list. What am I looking to bring in for this time? It's transactions. If I've got a favorite, perfect. If not, we'll go with the default view. Set my parameters if applicable. If not, it's that easy, and I've got a new API connection. So really powerful. That starts to open up a lot of doors. Lastly, if you remember that when I talked about the exception reporting side, kind of monitoring the data that you don't have time to, that wall of zeros, here's where this component comes in. So again, we've got lots of different systems here, and here are some of the different reports that we're sending out. For example, customers over their credit limit inside of GP. And again, I can go ahead and pinpoint exactly where that's at. I'm just going to select one, for example. Actually, let me go to, we'll do inventory. Let's call it items with a low quantity. I can send that every day, as long as that, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. directly to Chris, or directly to Luke or Brandon, or whoever needs to receive that information. And maybe I've got a few different reports there, sliced and diced based on account number, who owns that account, or different pieces in that system. So they're going to get the data that pertains just to them They don't have to log into GP. They don't have to log into another system. It's going to come right into their email inbox with that Excel report attached, showing them the data that they need to take action on. So this starts to get, again, very powerful. Leads without a lead source is a very popular one. But that could be from virtually any system, any filtering, any way we want to narrow that data down, yet sent on an automated basis to the appropriate individuals at the frequency that you desire. One more piece that I'll talk about here. So the next piece that I want to touch on is security. So that's obviously of the utmost importance when we're looking at anything across the board. And the beauty is once you've kind of built out some of those connections and reports, you've got a lot of options for security inside of Popdock. It's the ability to share a certain report or a certain list with users, or to take that up to a couple levels higher, and maybe I just want to make this accessible to a certain team or a certain role. So this needs to be given to all of our accountants, or everyone in sales, or everyone in tech support, or everyone at a manager level, or a director level, or everyone on our dev team. Whatever that looks and feels like, again, that can be completely customizable to you as you're building some of these pieces out. And this makes it really easy to scale. When you get a new employee, you don't have to recreate the wheel. They can be assigned as a, again, dev, manager, user, whatever it might be, and they're going to have access to all of the same reports and actions that everyone else on their team does. So that starts to get really powerful, yet enables people who are only seeing what they have access to, what they should have access to from the appropriate systems with the appropriate data points. All right, I'm going to showcase one more piece, and then I want to see if there are any questions. So I logged into a little different account there. I didn't have some of those set up in mind. But another piece that starts to be kind of cool with this is a live real-time dashboard for multiple systems. This is something I know our CEO kind of really lives and breathes by every day. Where we've got a complete breakdown of the products that have come in today, outstanding support tickets, a breakdown of today's sales. Are they perpetual models? Are they subscriptions? What do those look like? How many people do we have registered for upcoming training courses? So that's, again, data coming from a lot of different systems, yet we're seeing that on a real-time basis right front and center every time we log into Popdock. So multiple systems, multiple data points, multiple filters and customizations. This could be different for everybody in your team. This could be different for multiple users across multiple teams to give them what they need from these systems to do their job every single day. What do they need to address? And again, they don't have to log in or access any of those different components. And the same thing that we see here, this can be accessible on a mobile device, iPhone, Android, tablet, etc. All right, any questions at all on anything we've talked? I haven't seen anything come through the questions pane yet. If there's anything out there, I know we've got plenty of time here, so I wanted to leave it open if there's anyone who wants to chime in with anything further.
Yeah, Luke, I don't see.
That is perfectly fine too.
I'm sure you addressed them all right in your
I'm never
presentation.
that good. There's a 0% chance that happens.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
No, that was fantastic. Certainly learned a lot. Popdoc has a lot of possibilities to bring that data in those applications that you're using outside of GP or in GP.
Right.
So very, very powerful stuff with Popdoc.
Awesome.
So yeah, I don't see any other questions. So it looks like we can probably give some people some time back in their day. However, if you do think of any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll certainly get those addressed. And can always do a one-on-one demo. Luke, Chris, I know you got everyone's brains spinning of all those possibilities of those applications that they could bring data to. So definitely thank you for your time, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Yes, thank you again for helping coordinate, Brandon. Look forward to seeing everybody at GPOC. And yeah, if there's anything else that comes up, feel free to reach out to Brandon and we can coordinate and discuss further.
All right, Luke, Chris, thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.